to the channel The Growing Developer. Let me just quickly show you the demo first and we'll talk about it later. If I press this button, you can see that we have a cool animation going on with this container. And how you're gonna do this, we're gonna discuss everything about this in this video. Let's begin the coding and see how we can add simple animations to our applications.
The Growing Developer.
So I have created a new Flutter project and you can see that it is up and running. You can see that this is the skeleton project, skeleton structure that Flutter provides us. What we're going to do is we'll select everything and delete it. We'll quickly import the material package. After that, we have our void main. Inside that, we'll call our app method. An app will take up material app. Inside this material app, as a home parameter, I'll pass a home page that is yet to be made. Now we'll quickly make a new stateful widget this time. Why are we making a stateful widget? Because every time the state is getting changed in our application, as you saw in the demo. So I'll name it as home page. There you go. Let me just change it to home page, the correct spelling, and we'll return a scaffold from here with an app bar as an empty app bar, nothing else. Right now, let's restart this application, and you can see that we have our blank application ready. Now what we're going to do is inside our body parameter, I'm going to wrap it inside a center, and inside the center as a child I'll pass a column. So as the children I'll pass a container. Let me just write a empty container first, and after that we have a flat button. Right, as a child I'll pass change it, or rather I'll say animated, and on pressed will be an empty function. Right now for the color, I'll give it a color of light blue, maybe 200 shade. So I'll give it a size of 300, height and width will be again 300, same. Now what I want to do is I want to do some cool animation stuff with this container. That is, I want to rotate it, I want to scale it, but on press of some button, right? So you might have seen in many applications that when you press some button, an animation is fired. There are many steps or many procedures to add animations to your Flutter application. We have our animation controllers, our animation widgets, but we will be using our animated container widget. An animated container widget is exactly same as the container, but with additional value, additional parameter as duration. I'll show you, don't worry. Now let's see. Now what I'm gonna do is I'll create two variables, maybe height and width. Right, initially the height value will be 300 and the width value will be 300. Why am I doing it? I'll just show you in a minute. I'll pass the height and width inside these values. Now by this, what I'm going to do is when I'll be pressing this button that is animated, let me just change the text to right now change it, right? Because we'll be just changing it right now. Now what I'm going to do is whenever this button is pressed, I want to change the height to height minus 100. That is, whenever this button is pressed, the height will be decreased by 100, and similarly for the width also. I'll decrease the width by 100 pixels whenever this button is pressed. So save it. Now let's see what happens. Change it and change it. You can see that the height and width got decreased by 100 and 100 pixels. You can see that it was a sudden change. That is, it just changed its state suddenly without any animation, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna replace this container with animated container. You can see a line underneath this. It is showing that duration is required. So what I'm going to do is I'll add a duration. It takes up duration, and now you can specify the duration. For me it will be in milliseconds, and it will be 250 milliseconds. Right, now save it. Now let's see the magic. If I press this change it button, you can see that there was an animation. It changed its size, but it wasn't a sudden change. It was taking up to 50 milliseconds of time. There you go. Let me just restart this application once again, and this time I'm going to increase this milliseconds to 500 so that you can see the change more clearly. Now if I press it, you can see that it took 500 milliseconds. Again, you can see that we animated the container, right? Now what if we wanted to rotate this container, to scale this container as well? So for that we have our transform parameter inside this. Transform is available in containers also. Every parameter is actually same as the container, normal container, but what is that you get a duration parameter. Now for transform we'll pass a object of matrix 4. So it will be matrix 4 dot translation values. Now what do you mean by translate? Translate means moving a widget from one place to another. So what I'm gonna do, I'll pass the translation values that for the x-axis I want the container to be moved by 20 pixels, and for the y-axis it should be 0, and for the z-axis it should be 0. Now save it, and you can see that the container got shifted by 20 pixels to the right. I'll change it to 0, and there you go. Now what we're going to do is I'll give it another variable, name it as double change x axis, right? So I'll write the value should be initially 0, and when this button is pressed, I'll write change x axis plus equals to maybe 20. That means whenever I'll be pressing this button again and again, the change axis value, that is, it will be moved by 20 pixels to right. So instead of the 0, I'll write change x axis. So initially, what is the value of change x-axis? It is the value of it is having the value of 0 pixels. That means it will not be shifted to anywhere. When I'll be pressing this button, height and width will be decreased by 100 pixels respectively, and the change axis value will be increased by 20 pixels. That means along with the container decreasing its size, it will also move towards the right side. So let me just restart this application. Let's see. There you go. Now let me just decrease again. You can see that it moved from its base location by 40 pixels. That is, we pressed this button 2 times and it moved by 40 pixels. Let me just restart the application once again. Now we have different values for the transformation. We have all the parameters like rotate, rotate y, rotate x. You can also add up all the rotations. Let me just show you. I'll write rotate x here, and by the double value I'll give it a value of 0.5. Let's save it and see what happens. You can see that it got rotated by 0.5 radians. Now you might be thinking that it got decreased. No, it is not getting decreased. Actually, it got rotated. Whenever you are rotating something via x-axis, just imagine that it will be decreased in size, right? So if I just add up another rotation of rotate y, that is along with the x-axis rotation, rotate it along the y-axis as well. So let me just give it a 0.7, and you can see that it got rotated. Now you can see that it is shifted towards upward, that is 0.5 radius upward, and 0.7 degree or 0.7 radians towards the right. Now how to programmatically change it? So we'll write double rotate x equals to 0. Initially it should be 0. Double rotate y equals to 0. Right, the initial values is 0, and I'll just remove the 0.5 from here, and I'll write rotate x Instead of the 0.7, I'll write rotate y. That is, now I'm giving these values. So on press of this button, what I'm going to do is I'll write the rotate x should increase by 0.5 and rotate y should increase by 0.3 respectively. Let me just change it to 0.3. Save it. Now let's see the magic happen. I'll just restart this application once again. Now let's see the magic. Press it. There you go. You can see that it got rotated from x-axis as well as y-axis and the size got decreased. Change it once again and you can see that it got rotated. Just for demonstration purpose, I showed you how you can use the animated container. Just a small teaser for you, I'll be using this animated container to make test UI. A teaser, this UI video will be uploaded soon, maybe in 1 or 2 days. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, press the bell icon so that you never miss any video. Now that's it for this video. Play with the values, play with the durations. I used 500 milliseconds. You can decrease it, you can increase it, it's your wish. You can play with all the angles and play with all the translation values. We have different rotations, different translation values, so play with that and you can make pretty good UI with that. Write down in the comments how you feel about this video. Any doubts, any questions, any queries, you can ask in the comment section. I've also added the links to the social media platforms, so if you want to share any screenshots of your application or your code, you can always do that in the social media links. Do follow the social media platforms as well and give a like to this video if you learned something from this. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day.